But to spend the proportion of the imam, you would have to get the permission of the marja.
So, for example, in for IABA community, you are there, Vakil. We should approach you if we need to.
Yes, you can approach me. I can ensure that it gets to the right place. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the community has the permission. So. Yep.
Sheikh, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I have heard kind of two conflicting report, in terms of the age difference between Bibi Khadija and the Prophet, right? One of them from the book was when they married, the Prophet was 25 and Bibi Khadija was 40. Some other ones I've heard was the difference, what is unusual, was a couple of years. But when you look at the calculation and kind of go back and see how old was Bibi Khadija when Bibi Fatima was born, she would have to be 60 years old if Bibi Fatima was born, because we know that the Prophet died at the age of 63, and what the riwayat said, Bibi Fatima was about 18, 19, which would put the Prophet at about 45 years old at the time that Bibi Fatima was born. And if their age difference is 15, it would make Bibi Khadija an old lady at 60.
Yes. There is a debate on that. I would not say particularly my strong suit would be like these details of history, but yes, there are debates about the age of Hazrat Khadija, even among our Sunni or Shia scholars as well. You do have some that say that the age difference was not that great, that Khadija was not 40 when the Prophet married her. It was just, a few years difference. So I would have to look and see which one of our scholars he says that. I think Allama Askari, he may be of that opinion as well. I would have to double check to make sure. But yes, there's a discrepancy about that.
I was listening a lecture and it says the Prophet was 25 and Bibi Khadija was 23.
Again, I don't know. There are various ages that are given for Bibi Khadija. Like I said, I'm not absolutely certain of the age range. Of course, the popular is that she was 40. That's what has been written for quite some time, but scholars have disagreed about that.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Now I have a question myself. If Allah knows everything and He knows how one's life is going to turn out, why does He let certain people live who are going to turn out to be people?
Could you speak up just a bit? Why does He let some people, what?
Some people exist to be terrible people if He knows that they're going to be terrible people and do lots of bad to not just themselves but to other people as well. And
okay. So this is a very it's a discussion that needs a session by itself to speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge, the extent of His knowledge, and how His knowledge is related to our interaction and our choice. So again, you have, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge, which He knows, again, everything. He knows, again, what we are going to do or not going to do, but that does not mean that we are compelled to do what we want to do whatever we're doing. We do have free will, we do have choice, and that free will and that choice is within the or under the power that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has given us. He's given us this ability, this will to do. And so while He understands or He has knowledge of what we're going to do, whether we decide to do that thing or not, it is within our choice, within our ability. And for that reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sends to us signs about what is right and wrong. He sends to us prophets. He delivers to us through His prophets revelation. And so at each moment and every moment that we are choosing between good and righteousness or bad, that we again have a proof in front of us. We have a guide in front of us, so that we may and hopefully will opt to choose what is good and what is right. And so therefore, on the judgment, when our deeds are weighed before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we actually have no excuse that, oh, well, I didn't know, or the sign didn't come to me. Going back to the tafsir that we're doing and Surah Al-Mulk, this is why in one of those verses as well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that when the disbelievers, when they are in the hellfire and they're there, they will be questioned by angels. Did not a messenger come to you? Did not a messenger, again, guide you to show you the right way? And the disbelievers, they will say that, yes, we did have the messengers come to guide us, but we rejected. So that rejection is based on their will, their free will. Likewise, they could have made the choice to change and to do what is correct. So and this is a very kind of a simple, straightforward answer. To get into the more intricate details of the relationship between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge and our free will, it is a bit of a complex philosophical discussion, which in a few minutes we're not able to outline the details of that. So hopefully, inshallah, this suffice.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I have a question. When you read this surah, that in which about Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam.
Hazrat whom?
Hazrat Khizr.
Khidr.
Yeah, with Musa alayhi salam. So like there was a boy, and he was going with Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, and there was a boy, and he killed the boy. And later on, he told that he killed because, he was going to be, bad to his parent, But, like we don't do a punishment, even Allah don't do punishment without the actual, the action is done. So what kind of Shariat is that, and is this still going on?
Okay, so again, this particular again relationship, between Musa and Khidr, it was one in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wanted to again teach Hazrat Musa. He wanted to give him or expand his horizon. So as we know that the Prophet Musa, he was one of the Ulul Azm. And the Ulul Azm are the prophets who are the great prophets, as we describe. They are the prophets who actually had a Sharia. They had a law. And they were bound by that law to implement the law and to teach that law to everyone during their time period. and that Sharia would last until another prophet came. So in the time of Hazrat Isa, he came, and there'd be certain laws, certain various the laws kind of varied. There's a difference in that law. So Khidr, on the other hand, he was a prophet, as many of the scholars believe, one that was not bound by the Sharia. And so this is why at each moment in that journey with Khidr, Hazrat Musa, he would question about, why did he put the hole in the boat? Why did, again, he hit the boy, a young boy, and kill him? Why did he not take a stipend or take payment for building the wall, or request payment for building the wall? Because each and every one of those things, based on the Sharia, had a particular solution. That if you poke a hole in the boat or destroy someone else's property, then you are liable. You're responsible. If you kill someone, then you're also responsible. If you build up a wall, or you do labor or work for someone to safeguard their property, even though they didn't ask you, but you're doing something to safeguard their property, you can request payment from them, equal pay of someone who would do such a job. So Khidr, on the other hand, he was not bound by the Sharia per se, but he was basically bound directly to whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command was. And that command was to, okay, well, you take the life of this person, this avoid attack, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to replace the child with another child that would again bear that would give birth to one of the awliya, or according to some of the tafsirs, one person who will be the prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that interaction and that engagement is completely based on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command and authority. So if Khidr did not do it, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very easily, he would command one of the angels to do it. So for example, Israfil, that the angel of death, he would have come and he would have taken the life. Or Israfil would have delegated another prophet to come, another angel, to do it. So Khidr in that particular instance was only fulfilling the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it happened to be in that way. So, and if your question is that, is this still occurring? So if you remove the, you could say the agent, which is Khidr, and you replace it with a different agent of Allah, which is the angel of death, then yes, it still occurs, but it's not in that means where we may have knowledge of. Any other questions?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
So was this because I got the notification from a group chat, I didn't really read it, I just went and joined. Is there no topic, like general topic that we're discussing?
Well, the topic, again, we leave it open, but the idea as well is to have a continuation of the commentary that we're giving, although we do leave room for other questions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a question, or no one else has a question, I can go over some of the aspects of tafsir that we're doing on Thursdays, on the weekends, on Wednesday, Saturday. My days mixed up. We're all staying home, so. So as you know, we've been covering Surah Al-Mulk, One of the several things I think that we should be aware of as we are trying to gain a closer relationship with the Quran. I'll recommend a few books. So one of the books I recommend is, let me go to this one first. This is the Shia and Islamic Disciplines. This book is on elislam.org. And in the beginning, the first chapter, it talks about the Shia scholars who have been involved in Quranic sciences. And it's a very, very good chapter. This is just only chapter 1 that speaks about the Shia scholars of the Quran. The other chapters speak on other topics, Shias and Hadith, Shia scholars who worked on Islamic law and various other subjects. So in chapter 1, it has 7 sections, and it talks about the various Shias who, scholars who have been the founders of certain aspects of Quranic studies. So, so one of the first individuals, it says in section 1, to write on the Quranic exegesis or tafsir. So exegesis or means tafsir. So Sa'id ibn Jubayr, he was that individual. Likewise, in section 2, you can read more about this. Section 1, he also gives some other some of the companions of Imam Baqir alayhi salam, who were also had written tafsir of Quran. Those who wrote about the recitation of the Quran. So as you may know or may be aware of, there are different variations of recitation of the Quran. And one of the persons who compiled this was Aban ibn Taghlib, one of the again companions of Sadiq. So Aban ibn Taghlib, he is very influential in various sciences of Quran. The different recitations for one, as you know that sometimes like certain words in the Quran can be recited in various ways. For example, Jibreel, it's recited Jibra'il or Jibreel or Jibaril. So they're very, depending on the recitation, those things, they may vary. It's also something good to be familiar with. Also, Aban ibn Taghlib, if you scroll down and you read the rest of the chapter, you'll see that Aban ibn Taghlib, he was also one of the pioneers in writing about the meaning of the Quran, the meaning of the words of Quran, about the what is called the Gharaib al-Quran. It talks about the kind of more difficult and complex aspects of the Quran that may, or certain phrases that may seem different or may seem strange. So also Aban ibn Taghlib, he wrote on Hadith. He was one of the premier scholars on Hadith as well. Among the scholars who wrote about the Quranic law, I think it's section 3. Among the Shia scholars was Muhammad ibn Sa'ib al-Kalbi. And then the 4th section, the one who wrote on the particularities, Aban ibn Taghlib. So this is a very good chapter to read. And likewise, if you read, or at least read some of the sections of the essence of the Holy Quran, the Eternal Light. This is by Ayatollah Puya. Last week we mentioned or gave reference to one of his books, his tafsir, that is available online. So this section where he speaks about, again, I think this is chapter chapter 1 of the book about the geniuses of the Holy Quran, section 8. This is a very beautiful section of his book where he speaks about the Quran and how the Quran was revealed, or the stages in which the Quran was revealed. And so he outlines 5 stages in which the Quran was revealed. So the first stage was the pre-revealed existence of the Quran. And this is when the Quran was with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or in fact, as some of the scholars, some of the commentators, they state that all of revelation, meaning that every revelation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sent forth to mankind, that he sent forth to, let's say, the Prophet Noah, again, the book or that law, the Prophet Ibrahim, the Prophet Musa, the Prophet Isa, Prophet Muhammad. This revelation pre-existed in the Lawh al-Mahfuz, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he speaks about, and again, he gives reference to this in Surah Al-Buruj, that's chapter 85 of the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, Huwa Quranun Majid fi Lawhin Mahfuz. So that is the pre-existing Quran. And likewise, in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he also mentions the Quran in its, you could say, pre-existence or form, that when it's only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Innahu la Quranun Kareem fi kitabin maknoon la yamassuhu illa al-mutahhirun. That it is surely the noble Quran in a hidden book, and no one shall touch it except for the pure ones. So that is the first stage of revelation, or of the Quran itself. The second,
what is Lawh Mahfuz?
Lawh Mahfuz, that is the, you can say that is the pre-existence of the Quran, or all revelations. Lawh itself just means a tablet. Mahfuz means protected. So Lawh Mahfuz is the, again, the protected revelation, or that revelation as it exists with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before he reveals it to any of his prophets, or even angels for that matter.
Is it the same, or is it different?
Is what the same? Yeah, your question is not clear. Is what the same?
No, is it the same as the Quran, or is it different than the Quran?
So as we stated, according to the commentators of the Quran, that that Lawh Mahfuz, according to some of the commentators, they say that yes, it is the Quran before it was revealed, Huwa Quranun Majid fi Lawh Mahfuz. So some say that yes, it is the Quran before it's revealed to the prophets, before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala delivers it to Jibreel to deliver it to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some of the commentators say that the Lawh Mahfuz encompasses all of revelation, not simply the Quran, but also, let's say, for example, the Torah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sent to the Prophet Musa, the Injil that he sent to the Prophet Isa, the books, the revelation that he sent to his other prophets. So, and some will point also again to Surah Al-Buruj, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Huwa Quranun Majid fi Lawh Mahfuz. So the Quran is in the Lawh Mahfuz. In other words, showing that it is a part of the Lawh Mahfuz. It is not the entire Lawh Mahfuz, but it is part of the Lawh Mahfuz. And if one takes that second position, then they are saying that yes, all of the revelation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sent to mankind is in the Lawh Mahfuz, not only the Quran. Some are of the understanding or opinion that no, the Lawh Mahfuz is the Quran prior to being revealed to the prophets. So there are two opinions on that. The second stage of revelation, according to Ayatul Puya, is that this is when the Quran has been, when it was taught to the prophet. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he points to this, according to Ayat al-Fuya, who's one of the commentators of the Quran, in Surah Al-Rahman, chapter 55 of the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran, khalaqa al-insan, allamahu al-bayan. So this is the second stage. So is existing with Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he taught the Quran to the Prophet. And then the third stage is that when the Quran was revealed to the heart of the Prophet. So as it's revealed to the heart of the Prophet, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala points out in Surah Al-Dukhan, as he points to here, Surah Al-Dukhan, verse 1 through 6. And this is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in the Quran that he revealed it, inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarak. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he revealed the Quran in a night that is blessed.
So Sheikh, I have a question. You know, in Surah Inna Anzalna, it says, you know, on the Laylatul Qadr.
Yes.
That's
also mentioned Qadr here.
The angel comes, you know, with some kind of orders, you know. So what kind of orders bring, and whom they bring the orders to? Can we call it like a wahi, or what do you call that order?
So that is, first of all, that the angels, they come down to the Prophet Muhammad. This is sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what is the commentators, they state first and foremost, that they come down to the Prophet in the night of Qadr, and that Amr, which they bring, as it says, you know, by the Lord's permission with every matter. That is the, you could say the Qadr, or the destiny of the of individuals, of people, of mankind for that year. So this is why we have the understanding, and this is why the practice of Muslims is to stay up on the nights of Qadr, or the nights that they believe is the night of Qadr, and they make their dua for their sustenance, for forgiveness, so that in that next year their sustenance will increase. They make dua for what their need is. So, and that is the amr that the ruh, that the malaika and the ruh, they bring down on that night. And so, according to our belief, in the after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then that amr is brought to the imam of the time. That imam of the time understands and knows that amr, that the affairs of what is to happen in the next year, based on the bringing of that amr from the angels and the ruh. Okay. And so that those two verses, those two chapters, Surah Al-Dukhan, verse 1 through 6, and also Surah Al-Qadr, it refers to the Quran being revealed upon the heart of Rasulullah. And this is one of the things which is in the Quran that a lot of the commentators, they point out. If you look at Surah Al-Dukhan and also Surah Al-Qadr, as it begins, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he states in Surah Al-Qadr, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. And likewise in Surah Al-Quran, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. So the Quran being revealed all at once, it happens in these occasions, in the night of Qadr. So there are two types of, or two moments when the Quran is revealed to the Prophet, or two manners in which the Quran is revealed. One is that the Quran is revealed all at once, which they call daf'i. So, and that is by inzal. So whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he speaks about inna anzalnahu, meaning that that thing came all at once upon the heart of the Prophet, without any without any medium. In other words, there was no need for Jibreel to come actually to deliver that revelation. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sent it directly to the Prophet. Inna anzalnahu. Versus the fourth stage or type of revelation, which is a gradual revelation. And then the gradual revelation, this is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he delegated Jibreel to go and to deliver the revelation to the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So for example, in Surah Al-Isra, chapter 17 of the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقُرْآنًا فَرَقْنَاهُ لِتَقْرَأَهُ عَلَى النَّاسِ عَلَى مُكْثٍ وَنَزَّلْنَاهُ تَنزِيلًا. So tanzil is different from inzal. So tanzil, whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the tanzil of the Quran, nazzalna versus anzalna, that so nazzalna refers to the gradual revealing of the Quran from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Jibreel, from Jibreel to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The fifth stage of the revelation of the Quran, or the stage of the Quran, is the post-gradual revelation of the Quran. And what this means is after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the Quran was placed before men and jinn, as Ayatollah Puyahi states, that is placed before men and jinn to read and to seek from the Quran guidance, for their affairs. And that's post-revelation of the Quran. What Ayatollah Puyahi points out, that the Quran in itself, in its you could say in its order, it is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he put forth, that the order that we have the Quran in. And of course, this was one of the questions that I think it came up last time, that whether Shia scholars, they believe in the tahrif, or that the Quran has been changed. And so the response to that is that no, it has not been changed, but rather the order of the Quran is something that is based on divine order. And so that comes in the post-gradual revelation of the Quran. And it is something that, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he states again in Surah Al-Isra, he states in, not in Isra, excuse me, but he states in Mursalat, so chapter 75 of the Quran, verse 17, Inna alayna jam'ahu wa Qur'ana, that verily it is upon us the collection of it, the collection of the Quran, and the recitation of the Quran. So how it should be collected, how it should be ordered, how it should be arranged, and how the Quran should be recited. According to not only Ayatul Puya, but several of our scholars, they say that yes, the order is a divine order of the Quran. It is not something that is out of order. Of course, there is you could say, the revelation in its tartib. So when it came, so one of the first verses that was revealed to the Prophet is Iqra, but that comes later in the Quran. But this is based on, again, the divine order, that Iqra comes in the place that it comes, and Al-Fatiha comes in the beginning, all by divine order. Likewise, there are hadith. I'm not sure if it's in this book that Ayatollah Puya, he speaks about it, but there are hadith and authentic hadith where the Prophet of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was ordering the companions that, or at least the scribes who were writing down the Quran as it was revealed, he would give them orders that place this ayat here, place this verse here, and so again, that order, that jama', that collection of the Quran is something that is by divine order. with that, one of the things that we should also be aware of and we should understand, at least according to our scholars as well, when we talk about the Uthmani compilation of the Quran, many of our scholars say that, again, he did not, it was not up to him to change the order of the Quran or anything, but what he did is he unified the recitation of the Quran, because there were variant recitations, again, that did not change the meaning of the Quran, but just, you will have the variant sounds of the Quran. So, for example, as I gave in the beginning, the different ways of pronouncing Jibra'il. So you have Jibril, Jibra'il, Jibaril. All of them are referring to the angel Jibra'il. But variant recitations. I think if anyone who listens to the recitation of Abdul Basit, I think particularly sort of the Taqwiyah, where he recites this verse, the chapter. It's one of the famous, I think, recitations of Abdul Basit, sort of the Taqwiyah. And especially at the end of it, when he goes back and he starts repeating some of the verses, if you listen closely, what he's actually doing is he's reciting the verses in some of the variant recitation. So I know at one of the verses it says Insha-Allah, then he states Inshi-Allah. So, and they both mean the same thing, just a variant recitation of the Quran. So, and we got 7 o'clock. If there are no more questions.
I have a question. I have a question.
So one more question.
Okay, Sheikh, we say love Allah, love Ahlul Bayt, love Prophet, if somebody loves a woman or a girl, it happens. You don't make it, you don't develop it. So how the same kind of love you can develop with the Prophet or the love Allah, that you keep thinking about, them. So could you guide us in this regard, please?
Okay, so inshallah, so love is of variant degrees, darajat. So meaning that, for example, if I love my mother, my love for my mother is not the same as my love for my wife. My love for my mother is not the same as the love for my children. Are they both loves? Yes, they are degrees and they are variant types of love. And this is something that even within the Quran, we find variations of this love expressed. So with regards to the family of Rasulullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he asks what? Mawaddata fil qurba. With regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself, he says that he tells the Prophet, tells you your people, in kuntum tuhibbun Allah, fattabi'uni yuhibbukum Allah. So he uses the word hub. So hub and mawadda, they both are types of love. So, but they're different types of love. Likewise, in Arabic, one of the words that is used for love as well is ishq. So you have mahabba, you have mawadda, and you have ishq. And they're all, if you translate them into English, they all can be translated as love. But when you delve deeper into the meaning of mahabba and mawadda and ishq, they all mean slightly different things, meaning that they are expressing different aspects of love or different degree of love. So likewise, when you say that, yes, we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we love the Ahlul Bayt, we love our family, we love our community, our ummah, then yes, it is all love, but the degrees of that love will vary. And of course, the ultimate and absolute love that we should have is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why one of the kind of famous hadith that is stated by, that is attributed to our imams, I think one of one of the hadiths attributed to Imam Hussein alayhi salatu. Also, likewise, within the hadith, I think it attributed to Imam Sadiq as well, but it says, Hubbun lillah wa bughdun lillah. That the sign of the believer, that his love is hub lillah, so you love for the sake of Allah. So your love for your, you could say your parents, your wife, your children, your love for Ahlul Bayt even is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that love that stems from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that Allah is at the center, the core of that love, and this is good. You know, so no love will trump the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
But how do you develop it?
How you develop it? Well, this is something that again, it is spoken about in the Quran. It is something that is we see in the actions of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salatu wassalam. And again, to delve into this discussion at a deeper level, we actually need more time, which we don't have. But inshallah, perhaps in the next discussion session, I can begin with this topic, and we'll move forward from there. Okay.
Shukran.
No problem.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.